In a world where the DNC is rigging its primary against its own party members, one man stands brave and stands tall to call them out. That man is Donald J. Trump. We gonna talk about it. Thanks for tuning in. What's going on, everybody? Thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream segment of Mikas as Sukas, and of course, as always, I'm your humble host, Niko House. So, it should be no surprise to anybody at this point that the DNC has been openly rigging. You know, Bernie Sanders has 6,000 more votes total than the next candidate in the Democratic primary, and somehow Pete Buttigieg has more delegates than him. And on top of that, in the areas where they've used voting machines, of course, there's a huge disparity from the exit polling that heavily favors Buttigieg when all the other counties that weren't using voting machines perfectly resemble the exit polling. Yeah, it's kind of rigged when you consider the media, when you consider the fact that the DNC was quote unquote intimately involved with the application that was created by Shadow Inc. that was forced upon the Iowa Democratic Party. When you figure out that Buttigieg's people are in charge of the election security in Nevada, right? Bloomberg just bought his way into the race, gave $300,000 to the DNC and bought his way into the debates. I mean, if that ain't rigged, I'm not really sure what you call that, to be honest with you. Now, unfortunately, Bernie Sanders does not really call this out. I mean, you know, he says there's some fishy business by the DNC, but he is yet to call it what literally everybody, their mother, their grandmother, their cousin, their dog, their cat, their platypus, their raccoon, their pet worm, everybody and their mama calling it rigged, because it is. And at this point, it's obvious. So let's look at Donald Trump's tweet. It said the crooked DNC is working overtime to take the Democratic nomination away from Bernie Sanders again. Watch what happens to the super delegates in round 2. A rigged convention. Now he tweeted this maybe an hour and a half ago. It's already at 8,000 retweets and 31,000 likes, and it's probably going to be 100,000 in the next hour or so when everybody wakes up. Ladies and gentlemen. Now, don't believe Trump is doing this altruistically. Don't believe that. That's not what this is about. What Trump is doing is two things. He's obviously calling out the DNC because, well, he saw what happened when a bunch of Democrats were pissed about Bernie Sanders getting cheated last time, when 1 in 10 Bernie Sanders voters went to Donald Trump. And that's a fact, regardless of whether or not you like it. On top of that, people who otherwise considered themselves to be Democrats went independent. So even if they didn't go to Donald Trump, that doesn't necessarily mean they went to Hillary Clinton. It doesn't mean they worked for and campaigned for Hillary Clinton. And it probably means that they didn't support any of the Democrats on the ground either. Also, there were a lot of independents that did go to Donald Trump who would switch back for a Bernie Sanders or a Tulsi Gabbard or even an Andrew Yang. But the Democrats have basically screwed 2 out of 3 of those candidates, and they're on the way to screwing the third one. Donald Trump is aware of this. He understands how much that pissed people off last time, and he is using this to his strategic advantage. The other thing that he is doing is that he's baiting Bernie Sanders. Bernie, unfortunately, for all of the good qualities he has, he's reactionary. He's very reactionary, and when he personally doesn't like someone, he tends to be adversarial rather than strategic in the way he goes about his politics. What do I mean by that? he's already been faced with this situation before where Donald Trump admits openly that, which once again, there's literally nobody who disagrees with this except for apparently Bernie Sanders and Jeff Weaver. But he admitted that the DNC was trying to rig it against Bernie Sanders. And basically, Bernie Sanders said, no, they're not trying to rig it against me. You are the one who is rigging elections. And that's the wrong answer, Bernie. That's the wrong answer. If you want to say Trump's trying to rig elections, go ahead. I mean, there's not really any proof to validate that. Go, whatever. But don't sit there and tell a lie to your supporters who are fighting this every day, to election integrity activists who are fighting for you every day, that the DNC is not rigging this election against you, when they just literally changed the rules. They just changed the rules so that Mike Bloomberg can be on the debate stage despite not participating in Iowa, not participating in New Hampshire. He will not be participating in Nevada, nor will he be participating in South Carolina. And somehow he's going to be on the debate stage without hitting a donor threshold of any kind that was required by so many others to do. Like, without getting a single delegate, but because he bought his way into the polls, which were already suspect anyway. By the time we got into Iowa and New Hampshire, only a third of them have made up their minds. So, like, and then we saw what happened. Biden was number 1, and he goes to number 4. Biden was number 1 again, he goes to number 4 again. So the polls are nonsensical, but yeah, he bought his way into them once again. So it's rigged. Donald Trump told the truth, unfortunately for us, when he knows that Bernie is likely going to reactionarily respond and say that it's not rigged, which will inevitably, as it has over and over and over again. I mean, if you live in the bubble, I hate to break it to you, every time Bernie Sanders says this election is not rigged, when it's clearly rigged, whenever, because what you say, what happens when you say it's not rigged, if you're Bernie and you say it's not rigged, you're discounting all the work that is being put in to getting you the nomination, that is basically being just erased. Hours, all that money that has been donated to you, all the, like I said, the time, the labor, the planning, 3 years of trying to get revenge on the DNC, the waiting. People have been patient with Bernie. But then you turn around after Donna Brazile said, yeah, it was rigged. It was rigged 2016 at least. And then they're bringing the same exact people back into the Rules and Bylaws Committee. And nobody, like, we're going to pretend like that's not going to have an effect on the supporters who support you. When you're saying that everything that they're experiencing isn't real, it's problematic. And Trump knows it. So Trump is playing the game. And I really hope that Bernie Sanders doesn't fall for it. Either call it what it is or don't say anything at all. Hopefully. That's what would be preferred. Call it what it is or don't say anything at all. Obviously, once again, we would prefer the former, not the latter. And we gotta be real about it. If the DNC does cheat, when the DNC cheats, and if Bernie can't overcome it, more appropriate, Donald Trump is going to win again. And if Bernie Sanders is cheated by, like, I don't know, Mike Bloomberg, and then Mike Bloomberg picks Hillary Clinton, after Bernie Sanders was bold enough to call Mike Bloomberg what he is, and his policy is what it is. He called him a racist the other day, thankfully, because that was becoming a little bit of a problem. A lot of people in the black activism community were getting upset because it sounded like Bernie was more upset that Bloomberg was a billionaire than an open racist. So I'm glad that he did that. But then if you turn around and campaign for a person who passed clearly racist policies, you're going to kill your movement. You're going to obliterate your movement and all the credibility you had, all the talking points about Bernie being a sheep herder will be considered true, and Donald Trump will win again. And I mean, I hate to be that blunt about it, but it is what it is. I don't know what to tell you. So I really hope that Bernie doesn't fall for this. Like I said, don't say anything at all or tell the truth. You know what? The DNC is, because it ain't like Trump is being very general about the situation. He's very specific. He says crooked DNC is working overtime to take the Democratic nomination away from Bernie again. Watch what happens to the superdelegates in a round 2 rigged convention. I mean, it's the exact way that everybody who's been paying attention is pretty confident it's going to go down. So now Trump looked like he's some damn, Nostradamus by saying what everybody else has been talking about for the last 2 years. But people who are just general observers of the process are going to see this. And then when it happens, Trump is going to get credit for it. So I really, really, really hope that does not happen. We're going to see though. But I hate giving credit to Trump when Trump is right, because he's definitely right about this. He's right in a very, very specific way. A very, very, very specific way. He's right in a way that so many people have been trying to ignore. Progressive's been telling you, don't worry about those super delegates. Don't worry about the second round. It's cool. Whatever. We're just going to overwhelm election fraud. Yeah. Overwhelm election fraud. That totally worked in 2016 when he was pulling crowds of 12,000, 8,000, 12,000, 15,000, 12,000, 8,000, 12,000, 20,000, 12,000. Totally worked last time. Just overwhelm election fraud. Good luck with that. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for that live stream segment of Mikasa and Sukasa. And always remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell if you like that segment of Mikasa and Sukasa. Of course, if YouTube is giving you trouble, as it always does, you can download the Rockfin app and follow us there. Also, if you want to continue to help our show grow, you can help us reach our goal of 500 patrons on Patreon and donate as little as $1. Really, anything helps. Other than that, always remember, people, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.